Hi, I'm Sammy Murrian and welcome back to Movie Reviews from Rehab. It's been over 2 weeks since I put out a video. This is the longest break I have gone without putting out new content since I first started my channel. God, it's been nearly 9 months ago. Circumstances have been such that I just have not been able to put out new content. My life, my personal life, has just gone insane over the past few weeks. I was supposed to be visiting my family here in Tennessee for about a week and then going back out to Los Angeles where I live. I am still here in Tennessee with my family and I will be here for a while, it looks like. The most immediate reason that I'm out here in Tennessee for a while is that I was living with my partner in Los Angeles and I just called a break between us. We need a break. Also, one thing I've never really talked about on my channel before, as personal as I've gotten from time to time, my dad is very sick. My dad has dementia, possibly Alzheimer's, and that's a condition where it just gets worse and worse and worse. He's gotten so much worse just in like the 6 months it's been since I last saw him. I need to be here with my family for at least a little while. I may end up having to find my own place when I get back there, which I'm perfectly capable of. I'm working part-time here in Tennessee just to save up some money because, in case you didn't know, Los Angeles is expensive as shit. Needless to say, it's been a trying couple of weeks. I'm doing fine though. I'm surprised how well I handle things. You know, I've been taking my recovery, as like a full-time job for the past year or so. And one of the benefits of, having your life burned to the ground because you're spun out on crystal meth and having to piece it back together is you get so much better at dealing with life, and I'm grateful for that. I'm glad that I'm sane now and I can handle monkey wrenches when life throws them at me. I'll be honest, the hardest part of not being in Los Angeles right now, even more than being away from screenings and from the ArcLight, the hardest part of being away from Los Angeles for the time being is that I am away from my dog. I've talked about my Saint Bernard on my channel before, and my partner and I pretty much share custody of the dog. I don't really have the means to take care of the dog on my own. So right now he is living with my partner back in Los Angeles and I'm here. I have never been away from that dog so long since I met him. And that's been the hardest part of being away from LA. I really miss my therapy dog. It sucks. But I have been chugging along. I am doing fine. I am going to adjust to my new circumstances, my temporary circumstances. I will be back in LA. I will be back in LA soon. My home is LA. I'm a California resident. Los Angeles is my home. It's my future. I am a California resident. I will be there very soon. I will be back there soon. I don't know if it's going to be a few weeks. It could be as much as a few months. Maybe I will go visit while I'm mostly planted here in Tennessee. Right now, I just don't know. I'm taking it a day at a time. I prioritize my channel a great deal. I love working on my channel. I take my channel very seriously. And it has sucked that I just had to put it on the back burner for a couple weeks, but I'm going to jump right back into it and just keep creating content the way that I was. We do have an art house cinema here in Tennessee that gets movies like a week later than I would be seeing them in Los Angeles. So I'm still gonna see the first run independent films. Tennessee is certainly not Los Angeles, but this is temporary and I can deal with this. I'm gonna keep putting out content. And now that I've caught you up on why I've disappeared for a couple weeks, I am going to do a couple short film reviews. One film that I saw last week here in Tennessee and one film that I saw several weeks ago in Los Angeles. I just haven't had the time to review it yet. So I saw Suicide Squad last week and I have some notes. This movie has been out for over a week. Everybody has chimed in. Everybody has heard about, how critics are, for the most part, just completely trashing Suicide Squad. So I'm gonna just spend a little bit of time trashing it myself. Suicide Squad is a bad movie. It's a bad movie. It barely even qualifies as a movie because it's just clearly been so butchered in editing by the studio. The behind-the-scenes drama has been widely publicized, with reports even going as far as to suggest that on set, in the months leading up to filming, Warner Brothers was editing a cut of the movie while the director was editing a separate cut. I don't understand why these studios keep on hiring directors, like auteurs, artistic directors who have vision, to keep making these big tentpole blockbuster movies, because the last thing that these studios seem to have in mind is creating art, creating a movie, creating a coherent movie. Warner Brothers completely butchered Suicide Squad and tried to form it into something it's not, tried to turn it into a movie for everyone, and what they're left with is a movie that is for no one. Like I said, this movie barely even qualifies as a movie just because it's such a mess. It was so butchered in editing. David Ayer is an accomplished filmmaker. I'm sure that his original vision and his original cut of this film was at the very least, it was coherent. Fanboys on the internet have this new fixation. They seem to think that movie critics are bribed by Marvel and have something against DC, which is hilarious. That's certainly true of me, because as you know, I make so much money putting out my videos. I'm clearly in this for the money, and yes, I have clearly been bribed by Marvel to tell you, my viewers, that Marvel movies are so much better than what DC has been putting out lately. I'm not the biggest Marvel fan by any means, absolutely not. They put out solid films, they have vision, and in setting up their cinematic universe, they did it right. Marvel hired genuinely unique and artistic directors to make those movies. Kenneth Branagh made the first Thor, Joe Johnston made the first Captain America, Shane Black made Iron Man 3, and say what you want, I know that there are people who don't like Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is just such a unique, good, ambitious movie that clearly was made by a director who had vision and had an idea, had ideas. Warner Brothers and DC seem to be anti-ideas, anti-creativity. I didn't completely hate the experience of watching Suicide Squad. I wasn't sitting there just miserable the way that I was during just the oppressive bleakness and blandness of Batman vs. Superman. This movie is such a mess that it absolutely deserves comparison to Fantastic Four from last year. Side note, one thing really interesting worth noting, these studios right now are they're so messed up. Their thinking is so messed up. If you look at wide release films and the times that they're released throughout the year, studios seem to think that by putting a movie out on a certain weekend or a certain day of the month of the year, that they're guaranteed a hit. Their thinking is so messed up. This first weekend in August, 2 years ago, Guardians of the Galaxy premiered and was a huge hit. Guardians of the Galaxy was not a butchered studio product. It was a movie made with considerable vision by James Gunn, and it was a great movie, and that's why it was such a huge hit. This same weekend, the first weekend of August, last year in 2015, Fantastic Four, Fan Four Stick, was scheduled for release, and that studio, Fox, they panicked when they saw Josh Trank's original cut of that film. It was dark and weird, and it definitely wasn't Guardians of the Galaxy. It wasn't lighthearted. So Fox totally butchered that movie and released something that barely qualified as a movie. Now, the first weekend of August 2016, we have Suicide Squad. Just as Guardians of the Galaxy was, this movie has just been butchered by Warner Brothers. Deadpool came out earlier this year, was a huge hit. I was not a fan of Deadpool, but I can totally see why it was a huge hit. The big reason that it was a huge hit is because it was unlike anything else that's come out in the last few years. It was unique. Dumbasses at Warner Brothers think that it was only a hit because it was funny and vulgar. Therefore, Warner Brothers put so much money into extensive reshoots for Suicide Squad. So much money. Warner Brothers put tens of millions of dollars into reshoots for Suicide Squad to make it more lighthearted and funny. And you can totally tell every single scene that was a reshoot scene. The humor in this film is so tacked on and so inappropriate and so out of place. There's just lots of violence and dark, brooding scenes, and then a character will go, oh, whoa, that was fun. Warner Brothers did just as much of a hack job with Suicide Squad as Fox did with Fantastic Four 1 year ago. This said, I didn't find Suicide Squad to be as unwatchable as Fan 4 Stick. The biggest reason for that is the performances and the charisma of the cast. The cast here is actually really good. To see Will Smith in this movie is to remember why you fell in love with Will Smith so many years ago. He's really good here. The character of Harley Quinn fits Margot Robbie like a glove. She's terrific. Viola Davis is stentorian and powerful and wonderful, even as she's running around in a movie that has just been edited to pieces. She's great. I liked all of the performances in this movie. I thought they were all really good. Shows that David Ayer has, at the very least, a gift for directing actors, with one notable exception. That being the Joker, played by Jared Leto. It's a bad performance. It's a really, really bad performance. This sucks. This is, without a doubt, the worst Joker ever. The worst on-screen Joker ever. I should probably put it out there that I hate Jared Leto. I think he's terrible. I think that he totally did not deserve the Oscar for the Dallas Buyers Club. As a gay man, I will say that the Dallas Buyers Club just made me want to throw up. It's a movie about how the straight man, the brave straight man, saved all of the poor, trodden upon, trans people and gay people. And watching Jared Leto in that film as this glamorous, boring trans character just made me nauseous. I hate that movie. I also hate how pretentious Jared Leto is and how full of himself he is, what a method actor he is. There are reports of him sending dead animals to his fellow cast members in Suicide Squad because he was in character and he thought that was something the Joker would do. Okay, A, that's just deplorable and stupid and gross, and you shouldn't do that. That's just being a bad person. Also, he has no excuse for doing that because this performance is boring as crap. This performance is everything that people feared it was going to be when that first photo of Jared Leto as the Joker went up online, when people were like, Fall Out Boy did what? It's every bit as bad or worse than people feared it was going to be. He's really terrible in this movie. There's nothing interesting about this portrayal of the Joker at all. He's so painted up and pretty and glamorous, and there's nothing to the character. He's being James Cagney here. If you're unfamiliar, James Cagney was very famous for being a charming, suave gangster in films in the 30s and 40s. Jared Leto obviously saw some James Cagney movies sometime, and he's just hawking him wholesale here with stupid goth makeup on. This performance is wretched. He's barely in the movie, and that is the result of test screenings of the movie. Test audiences really hated this Joker too, so Warner Brothers really, really, really whittled down his role in this movie. He's unwatchable here. I hate it. His relationship with Harley Quinn in the animated TV show is so much better fleshed out. It's clearly much better fleshed out in the comics. They have this really disturbing, effed up, abusive relationship dynamic, and here it's just so PG-13 and stupid, and I hate it. Suicide Squad is a bad movie. I don't I don't think that we have to rake David Ayer's coals over the fire for this, though. We have no way of knowing what his original cut looked like. I imagine that it was, at the very least, watchable and coherent, even though Jared Leto was in it. As I said, I'm going to be back in LA really soon. I'm thinking that when I get back to LA, I'm not even kidding here, I think I need to try to get some entry-level work at one of these major studios, because enough is enough. Who the hell keeps making these wretched, multi-million-dollar decisions between what Fox continues to do to the X-Men franchise and what Fox did with Fantastic Four, what Sony has done with Ghostbusters, that whole thing, and now what Warner Brothers is doing with their hottest properties, Superman and Batman. Man, enough is enough. They really just need to clear house over there and hire completely new people. Hopefully me. Now, since I have spent half an hour talking about how crappy my life has been for the past couple weeks and what a hack job non-movie Suicide Squad is, I want to finish this video on a high note. I don't want to just depress the crap out of my viewers. So I'm going to do a brief review of a movie I saw a few weeks ago when I was in LA and just have not had the time to review yet. A movie called Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Hunt for the Wilderpeople is awesome. I loved it. I'm cheating because this movie is from New Zealand and these names are impossible. This movie's directed by a guy named Taika Waititi. And Taika Waititi is clearly wonderful and gifted, and I cannot wait to see what he does next. He co-directed a movie called What We Do in the Shadows a couple years ago, a horror comedy that I loved. And now I adored Hunt for the Wilderpeople. This is an adventure comedy film set in New Zealand about a young boy and his foster uncle who set out on an expedition into the bush, into the wilderness of New Zealand. If you have anything resembling a heart and you enjoy feeling happy feelings, go out of your way to see Hunt for the Wilderpeople. I loved it. Sam Neill is in this movie and he plays a super rugged, outback, tough guy. And the great joy of this performance is this is the most vulnerable performance I've ever seen from Sam Neill. This is amazing. This movie also stars a round little boy named Julian Dennison who carries this movie. This is the kind of child performance you would expect from Steven Spielberg in his heyday, only with like a modern edge. This is a kid who's obsessed with rap music, calls his dog Tupac. This performance is just fabulous. I also love the performance of Rachel House as the villain. She plays like Child Protective Services, and she keeps on likening herself to the Terminator and this little boy to Sarah Connor. And it's so funny and outrageous and ridiculous. I also loved the performance of Rima T. Waiatata as this little boy's foster aunt. She's this woman who, when you first meet her in the movie, you're like, oh, she's naive. She definitely can't keep up with this wild little boy. Then it turns out maybe she can. This movie warmed my heart. I loved it. That's all I'm going to say. Go out of your way to see it. I think the movie gets a little too big towards the end. I think that the filmmakers were having so much fun making this thing that it got a little too big for its own good towards the end, and it doesn't quite stick the landing. But good lord, this movie is so much fun and it will touch your heart. Just go out of your way to see Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Just trust me on this one. You guys, thank you so much as always for tuning in. Your ongoing support means so much to me. You've been amazing. I'm done bitching and moaning about how rough the past couple weeks have been for me. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to keep moving forward. I'm going to jump right back into putting out quality content. I've got so many videos so many reviews that I've got like half done on my hard drive that I just need to finish. I'm going to keep churning out videos as regularly as I have been. As I said, I'm just taking this a day at a time for now. I don't know how long I'm going to be in Tennessee. I will be back in LA before long. I'm not going to complain about being here for a little while because I have to be here My dad's very sick, and we've been overdue for some family time for a very long time. I've been spun out on drugs for years, and we're just, you know, taking the time to heal. This is something I need to be doing right now. I'm also, you know, not going to hold out hope on my relationship back in Los Angeles, hoping that we can pull through this. I would certainly like to. I just hit a little bit of a speed bump in life, but you know, I've got my feet on the ground and I'm just gonna hop right back to it. If you like what you see, please subscribe to my channel. Take care of yourselves, keep in touch, and be well, everybody. Bye!